Well, this afternoon, the set of 4 are ready to battle it out for the presidential race of the opposition National Democratic Congress. Well, 4 individuals, as we know now, will be in the race, racing to take the next spot of the top portfolio of the opposition party for the flag bearership race. Yesterday, of course, we had former mayor of Kumasi, Kujabunsu, picking up his forms. Today, Dr. Kwabena Duffour is the latest to join that fray. He's been addressing a gathering after that exercise. Here's a wrap of the activities for this last day.
Let's make the party very attractive. How do we make it? By making sure that the grassroots are well resourced. That we make sure the grassroots become richer than they are now. And we'll do it. So that anytime we go to war, we win. 2024, we are going to kick the elephant into the bush. The elephant will go to the bush. Oh. Elephant, Otifi, Obeko. And we have to work very hard. You have to work hard. The grassroots, the foundation of our party, should be resourced, should be made stronger than it is now, so that they can fight the elephant to go into the bush. We will not turn this into a rally. As I mentioned, I have submitted my forms for the contest. But I'd like to appeal to you. Don't let us insult people. I don't like it. Don't you ever insult anybody because of me. I don't want that. It's only the Lord who gives power, not insults. And don't forget, that is a family, one family. NDC, we are one family, aren't we? One family. How do you insult your family member? After May 13th, we are going to come together and fight hard and drive the elephant away. So if you keep on insulting one another, coming together may be a big problem for us. So don't do that. Tell your neighbors, those who are insulting, they should stop that. What we are looking for is what? Power. And power will come when we have a united party, not divided party. A house divided against itself cannot stand.
There's more from the Duffour campaign shortly, but now it is official that nomination process for the presidential aspirants has officially closed. Let's listen to lawyer Kakra Isama, who's the National Election Committee chairperson.
In the past 3 days, what we've been doing is receiving the filled out nomination forms of the presidential aspirants. 4 persons picked and 4 persons have returned them and paid the appropriate fee. So that matter is closed. The next step is for them to be vetted. Most probably next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, the presidential aspirants will be vetted. Those who go through, their names will be on the ballot paper for the internal primaries that will be held on 13th May 2023. Whoever wins becomes our candidate for the 2024 presidential elections.
So tell us about the parliamentary. You technically closed nominations yesterday.
Yes, we closed everything yesterday 5 p.m. So our people are doing they are processing it. After they've done their processing, we will know the numbers that filed as against those who picked and the constituencies in which they filed, and then we'll let you know.
So per the automated system, how many people picked the forms to contest in the constituencies that have not been affected by the ban?
That's about 820 persons who picked the nomination forms online. they are supposed to return them or file them physically in the constituency offices. So all that is being processed, and at the appropriate time we'll know the exact number out of that 820 who actually filed, and we'll make that information available to the press.
What is the status of the 27 constituencies that you kept on hold?
Conversations are still ongoing at the level of the national leadership, and as soon as we get some conclusion on that conversation, directives will be issued and they will be brought back into the system to participate in the process.
So one of the reasons you actually postponed the vetting of the parliamentary aspirants had to do with the fact that you directed your sitting MPs to stay in Parliament. Yes. When exactly are you going to vet the aspirants?
The parliamentary aspirants, you mean? Yeah. That's next 2 weeks, first week of April. We'll vet them because Parliament will actually rise, all things being equal, on 31st March. So the first week in April, we'll vet the parliamentary aspirants.
Well, it is confirmed now. So what's next for the opposition National Democratic Congress? We'll find out shortly from the national leadership of the party. But the Duffour campaign says it is confident that they will emerge victorious and that Dr. Governor Duffour will be the next leader of the opposition party. Antonio Ashinyo is the spokesperson for that campaign. He's joining us in studio. It's good to see you. A good day for you because you've succeeded in finally filing the nominations. How hard or otherwise was it raising 500,000 cents to get into the race?
I mean, Dr. Duffour is very resourceful. Today was a good day, like you rightly stated. We've successfully submitted a nomination form, and the harder work begins from today.
What's next for your campaign? Now it's confirmed that we're not sure of the positioning on the ballot yet, but it's confirmed that at least you have a success rate of 50% in terms of being passed by the National Executive because you fulfill the first part. The next part obviously will be vetting, which of course Dr. Duffour is well known within the NDC, so we know that will not be much of a challenge. But how do you plan now to intensify your campaign?
Thank you very much. We plan to continue with the same strategy, engaging the grassroots, engaging the branches, engaging the constituencies, and selling our message of hope, empowering them for 2024 and beyond. So our message is very, very deliberate and well-crafted. The grassroots is the foundation of the party. If any government to win any political party, they win from the polling stations. So our politics or our campaign is basically emphasizing on empowering the grassroots for them to own the party, basically.
Okay. And of course, your candidate there speaking about the fact that what's growing within the party is some level of insults and barrage of attacks on his personality, which he says is not healthy for the NDC. How bad is it getting, knowing that the race is becoming a two-way affair between the John Mahama camp and the Duffour camp? How is that translating into what he's talking about the insults?
I mean, the call of the next leader of the NDC, Dr. Duffour, is for us to use decent language. It's for us to respect each other, and I appreciate that this is an internal contest. So what he's calling for is respect, mutual respect for both camps, and trusting everybody to, or encouraging everybody to use very decent language. His promise is very simple, empowering the grassroots. He's lived it, his promise to do better. I mean, this morning, on your Super Morning show, you're talking about political party financing, and it's a very important conversation to have. This is a leader who's already started having it in a very sustainable way. Because if you are going to have businesses at the micro level of the party, which is the polling stations, which is the constituencies, for them to have businesses to generate money, they are going to be independent and they are going to be sustainable. If you're going to have a leader who thinks that the NDC needs to have an investment fund, I mean, in countries like Uganda, political parties invest in companies. And that's the only sustainable way for us to raise money, even in opposition, and not taking respectfully 1 cedi for people who already know don't have jobs. So if you know we have an unemployment problem, where are those unemployed people going to get the money to contribute? So we need to look for sustainable ways to fund our political parties, and that is through micro businesses like Dr. Duffour is doing through the Hunter project. And he's promised that when he comes back to power, or when he comes to power, he is going to make sure that the NDC as an entity makes very good investment in companies and in businesses for us to have a very sustainable way of having money to fund our campaign as a political party. In that case, you will not have the phenomenon of godfathers or people hijacking parties, and that's going to limit corruption in a very sustainable way, in my view.
Okay, but for now, the next phase of the campaign, where we've seen Dr. Duffour go to some regions. I'm not sure if he's been to the Volta region already, has he?
Volta regions are next.
Oh, okay, so that's where you're going next.
Yes.
Are you confident that you'll be able to win the hearts of the
I am confident that we are going to win this election May 2013. I mean, we are the only campaign or only candidate that is speaking about the party.
Why do you say so?
I mean, you listen to the campaign. Yeah. Sustaining the party is it goes beyond providing T-shirts and vehicles. It's about empowering the individuals for them to be able to mobilize and have the authority to command their various units. So if you have a leader who says that I'm bringing you a hunter project, in some constituencies that a hunter project have been given, a hunter project is basically providing them 4 canopies, 100 chairs, and a sound system. These are equipment that you can rent. They are getting about 6,000 a month, sometimes even 4,000 a week. If parties are able to get these done at the various level, you can imagine the impact that it will make for the party. Again, Dr. Duffour has promised to create an insurance policy for our cadres or aged people. As we go around, we interact with the old people. Some of them really do feel neglected. What does the party do? We need to look at ways or policies to make their lives better. And when these people's lives are better, their grandchildren and children will be attracted to the party. And he's promised to create a pension scheme for these people. So this is somebody who really knows what he's about. He's done it before. He created his first insurance company in 1983, Star Assurance. And that company is still in existence, providing needed insurance for corporate Ghana and individuals. Again, we are the only party that's talking about reviving the Heroes Fund. In 2011, when Professor Mills was alive, he created the Heroes Fund to support people that, get hurt during elections or what have you. As we speak, that Heroes Fund is dead. As Dr. Duffour is saying, when he comes back, he's going to make sure that Heroes Fund comes back to life. Why do we need that Heroes Fund? Because political party activity is risk. 2020 election, we have people losing lives in Techiman. What have we done for these families? As a political party, we really need to take the party serious. And we are the only people giving this message.
Is this something we haven't seen before in the NDC? I was speaking days ago to N.S. Kobia. Of course, he came as well after filing his nominations. He says, well, I'm supporting the NDC with money, whether or not I emerged victorious. Will Dr. Kwabena Duffour maintain that same posture, even if he doesn't get the nod?
I mean, as we speak, Dr. Duffour is an ordinary citizen. He's not the leader of the party, but he's already investing about 10 million Ghana cedis in an auto project for the party. Dr. Duffour's record, today you heard him. His contribution to getting us at the national office as finance minister, the national headquarters that we have now, he told us that he contributed to it as a finance minister, putting people together to bring up the money to build it. He's promised that he's going to make sure that each region in this country does have a befitting regional office. He's going to go further to get each constituency a befitting constituency office. This is a leader that's really looking at a very sustainable way of making the party attractive. The current campaign coordinator of a particular candidate who contested a candidate said in 2019 that the NDC lost in 69 universities. We need a middle class. We need to be able to appeal to them. So NDC's base vote is 40%. How do we get the middle class to be able to win power? We need to be able to get that leader that can be trusted. And the only leader, in my view, in this contest that can be trusted is Dr. Duffour. We need the middle class, and Dr. Duffour brings them on board. So if the grassroots is listening to me, this election should be about winning power in 2024. So we need to make sure that we assess the candidate holistically. Beyond that, NDC, we need 4 years. The former president indeed said in the past that 4 years is not enough to make any real change. His aide, Joyce, also said that 4 years is not enough. So the question is, what do you need 4 years to do? Dr. Duffour is assuring the NDC grassroots that he's going to guarantee them 8 years, where we are going to have sustainable development as a party, and the nation benefits in the general. When he's done, because if you're going to race with 4 years, what you're going to have is that after 2 years, the NDC will have to go for
but the NDC is not prevented from contesting the election afterwards, after 4 years.
No, obviously.
No one is stopping the NDC after 4 years.
I'm talking about your candidate. We are talking. This is a presidential election.
You were just telling me that you're interested in building the party. After John Mahama, even if it says 4 years, the NDC will not be outlawed from running.
I'm not speaking for John Mahama. What I'm saying is that the NDC needs to look for a candidate that can assure them of 8 years. My reference to John Mahama was his own statement years ago that said 4 years is not enough to do anything.
But my point is, giving that, without assuming that John Mahama will be the next leader of the party, even if he wins, runs for 4 years, the NDC will not be outlawed from running the.
But you know, we will be in a challenge because we will not have to bring the new leader who will then face the MPP, and we'll really have a difficult challenge because, as you know, every election, the second term of the leader, the vote depreciates. So the NDC is certainly going to look at that political calculation to make its decision. So this is the time to have a new leader who is already known, who has a track record. I mean, Dr. Duffour's track record is known. If the NDC, in its own wisdom, have changed the leadership in Parliament to bring in people who have economic background, if the NDC, is, in its own wisdom, is having a general secretary who was deputy finance minister to Dr. Duffour to be able to debate and argue economy. And I did listen to Fifi when he came on this set about talking about the real state of the economy. You could see he understood exactly what he's saying. So this is the time for also us to have somebody who understands the issues, who's done it before, and who has a track record and can be trusted to deliver. And Dr. Duffour has assured us that in 2 years, he's going to change this economy around and create the needed fiscal space for development. Truth is that if there's no water in the pool, you can't swim. Ghana does not have money, and we have a leader who knows how to pull the resources together and get us the money to build the development we need.
Okay, then now the challenge is being thrown to Dr. Duffour about the state of the party in the Ashanti region. We've heard the OT regional chairperson of the NDC, John Japo Kujo. He's made some statements. Of course, he made the statements when John Mahama was launching his campaign in the Volta region. He says, well, the contribution of all these individuals, including John Mahama himself, he's been a member of parliament, he's brought some votes to the table. But that cannot be said of Dr. Duffour, who's never been a member of parliament. He comes from a region that the NDC is in dire need for numbers from. Why is Dr. Duffour not turning his attention to the Ashanti region?
Thank you very much. I think the gentleman's statement is it's an ignorant one, and I'll tell you why. Dr. Duffour's vote is in Setre Afram Plains. NDC has only 4 seats in Ashanti region. Setre Afram Plains is one of them. The current MP is Dr. Duffour's junior brother, same father, same mother. As we speak, Dr. Duffour's financial contribution and logistical contribution to the Ashanti region and the NDC as a whole is not in question. As we speak, Dr. Duffour has given the NDC, is investing over 10 million Ghana cedis in auto project in each constituency in this country. That's a lot of money. As we speak, Dr. Duffour, yes, is not a member of parliament, but let's look at the NDC's own history. The founder of the party was a military man. He never went to parliament. The next leader of the NDC, the late Professor Mills, never went to parliament. The only person that went to parliament is the former president, John Dramani Mahama. So that statement that if you are not a member of parliament, you cannot be president in the NDC is factually inaccurate. So everything that the chairman said, and we can forgive his political speeches, there was a lot of exuberance, and I mean, you can allow it. But the record is that the NDC have had 3 leaders. 2 of them never went to parliament. The one who went to parliament led us into our most embarrassing defeat in 2016, which is the truth. Again, the one who was in parliament under his leadership on 2 occasions, 2016 and 2020, we were unable to collate results. This speaks to the health of the party at the grassroots level and the leadership that was provided. Again, yesterday, the day they picked up the form, you had a campaign manager talk about redeclaring results 12 midnight. It means that collation of results is now an issue for the NDC, when we really should be talking about the economy and how to build the party financially. So what we need to do is look out for a leader who has a track record. He's done it in private. I mean, we've never had a leader who has been a businessman, created jobs, and also has excelled in public service. Dr. Duffour is the only one in this country that managed the central bank excellently and managed the finance ministry as well. Yeah, these are the 2 units
under the NDC administration,
of course,
which had John Mahama as the vice president.
What are you going to talk about economic management team?
Well,
let me tell you.
That was very. I'm just stating the fact, isn't it?
It's not. Fact,
it's not the fact. It's not the fact that John Mahama was the vice president.
Here's the fact. That's the fact. But he was
John
not.
Mahama,
Hold on. That's not true. That's not true. There was no, and I read my lips, there was no economic management.
But there was a clear direction of where the party wanted to go.
No, what there was
on the ticket of John Evans Tamils and John Dramani Mahama.
No,
you can't take that away.
I'm coming. What you need to do is, what is the contribution of the person to the said record? Indeed, as an NDC member, I can tell you that was her best record. So John Mahama can't take credit.
Right.
But I'm telling you, and I'm setting the record straight, that under President Mills, there was no economic management team. The vice president never chaired any economic management team.
My point
is,
there was the political direction at the time was being steered by two individuals.
I'm talking
John Evans Tamils.
I mean, you've read the Constitution.
Precisely.
The powers of the president is stated. The powers of the vice president is stated. The vice president, respectfully, only acts when the president is not. The vice president, respectfully, is only assigned roles by the president. So he's a supporting hand. The president takes the responsibility. But it's a team, I get it. But I'm telling you that as a minister of finance, Dr. Duffour Fifikwete worked with the Economic Advisory Council, which was chaired by Dr. Yamson. They never reported...
Dr. Duffour was working under the instructions of the president, correct?
Dr. Duffour worked under the instructions of the president, advised by the council.
So at any time, any point in time, the president is not around in the jurisdiction or whatever it is, automatically he'll be taking direction from John Dramani Mahama.
I'm coming. Yeah. Let's get a record straight. I'm not actually taking anybody's position. All I'm telling you is that the finance minister, Dr. Duffour Fifikwete, in the ministry, worked in a very unique way with an advisory council headed by Dr. Yamson. I am not going to accept that statement that there was I've had a former deputy minister talk about economic management team, and you're a journalist, I've challenged you. Research and find out if Professor Mills had any economic management team headed by any vice president.
What difference does it make anyway?
It makes a lot of difference. Why? Because in the wisdom of the president, which is Atta Mills, he decided that he would rather have an advisory council advise the finance minister. That should even, you should ask questions about that. Why was that?
Probably the finance minister was not competent enough.
Oh, that's a laughable claim. Why was the finance minister not competent?
Yeah, an advisory council would definitely advise the one who's been
advice are not directors.
Yeah, but he still needs guidance.
What we saw is the results. I mean, if you want us to...
So the credit then should go to the advisory council, isn't it?
Listen, my brother, I'm telling you and
I'm just drawing the possibilities because you're claiming credit for it. I'm saying...
I'm telling you what fact there is.
Right.
I'm not, for credit you can give it. What I'm telling you is stating the facts and correcting the inaccurate claim that there was an economic management team. I'm telling you there wasn't.
Okay. If there wasn't, there was an advisory council. That's what you're telling us.
I mean, you had Dr. Duffour today.
Yes, but if there was an advisory council,
would you allow me to
then probably it's because the individual in the office at the time was not competent enough to handle the matters.
That would be an interesting claim.
Yeah, it's fair to infer that, isn't it?
Hold on. Even the wisest person takes advice. Right. But hold on. You heard Dr. Duffour today praise the General Secretary, the former Finance Minister Fifikwete, for his role, working with him healthy. I mean, Dr. Duffour is not somebody that takes credit as an individual. And even in his campaign tour, he talks about we. He never talks about I. What I am seeking to correct, which you need to allow, is because people are listening, is the fact that for magical reason, every president has an economic management team that is headed by a certain vice president. I mean, how can you head an economic advisory team when you know nothing about
but my point is that why are you not stating the facts as to why there was an advisory council?
That's you asking me to think for the late president.
No, but that of course, you told me you were stating the facts. The fact is that he had an advisory council. He did not have the vice president chairing it.
Do you contest?
So why states the facts now? Why did we have an advisory council? Because anyone could infer.
My name is Antonio.
But the point is,
I speak for Dr. Duffour.
I get that point clearly. You told me, and you are the one saying...
Yeah,
but you told me about the advisory council, isn't it?
But you're a journalist, my brother.
What was the advisory council doing to Dr. Duffour?
For us to solve this,
yes.
You're a journalist.
Yes.
Are you aware there was an economic advisory?
Yes, but my point is, granted, what was the role of that advisory council?
It's to advise the finance minister.
Precisely. So I'm saying that anyone at all could draw an inference from what's happening. The fact that, well, the man at the top, they're handling our matters at the finance ministry, may not have been as competent as he was.
This, when you come in, it means that the person was working in an advisory committee, advisory council to bring in. Right from the start of the administration, there was economic advisory council. That was the leadership style, or in the wisdom of the president then, that's how he wanted to govern. Yeah,
but I'm just raising the point because you want us to, probe as to why the vice president wasn't chair.
No, I'm not interested. No, I'm not. No.
Yeah,
I think you're getting the premise wrong.
Right.
I am not interested in the vice president chairing. No, I'm not.
Right.
All I'm telling you is that on this very set, the former deputy minister did claim that there was an economic development team chaired by the vice president. And I'm telling you on authority, on that set, I even challenged you to research and tell us the truth, because people are watching and listening to us. What existed under Professor Mills, in his own wisdom, was to have an economic advisory council chaired by Dr. Yamson to advise the finance minister. Right. That was a model the president adopted. And I'm telling you, looking at the Fourth Republic, our economic record, that regime have the best record. Indeed, that's the pride of the NDC, that we were able to have under Professor Mills's leadership style.
With John Mahama supporting him as the vice president.
That's fine, you can do John Mahama's.
No, I'm just stating, we're stating facts.
But I'm telling you.
You're stating the facts, I'm also bringing the facts to you.
Just chill, let me come. What I can tell you is that under Professor Mills as president, John Mahama as vice president, and the finance minister, we were able to achieve single digits.
That sounds better, isn't it? That was a collective. That there was a collective achievement, and not because there's a magical one that that Dr. Duffour was using at the time.
Hold on, President John Mahama respectfully was the president. He became the president. Right. He had his finance ministry. We saw the results we had. It was not, compared to President Mills, there is a huge difference, but it is way better than what this government is giving us. But the NDC have a choice of having the one that engineered the best record. And I've indeed told you, Dr. Duffour is the only person that has headed the central bank and headed the finance ministry. And these are the two most important institutions when it comes to our finances. And he's indeed promised that in 2 years after being voted president, he's going to turn the economy around and create the needed jobs that the youth need.
Okay, Antonio, just hold on for me, because there's a need for us to explore what's happening next to the party after this. I'll be interested in that economic conversation. Elikem Kotoko is a Deputy National Organizer for the NDC. Elikem, thank you for your time. So what's next after now? Yes, and kindly unmute for us so we can hear the point you're making. Well, what will be happening next, and what will your party be doing now that we know that everyone has filed, especially for the presidential candidates?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you, your viewers, and to my brother at the studio. Just a quick one before I respond to that. As a national officer, on the basis of the fact that we have what we call the party ideology, we are left of center. It is entirely wrong for my brother seated at your studio to say that it will not be in the interest of the party to go to the person out there on the street who is poor to take 1 cedi from them. Then he does not appreciate the party he belongs to and the ideology on which we stand, because we are left of center, which means we are for the masses. And to build a nation, you would rely on the masses to build and own what actually you do.
Yeah, but I guess his point is he's just trying to establish the fact that Dr. Duffour has indeed contributed his due to the party. That you cannot take away from him.
I'm just correcting it because so that the person listening or viewing also doesn't say, oh, so the party would at a point in time come and not take dues from us. People would have to also be responsible and full ownership of the party. And like always said, that you teach me how to fish and not always feed me with the fish. Then also, as party, I am unaware yet if the 10 million per constituency or so, or what has been invested, has gone to all the constituencies, 275 constituencies in Ghana. So I cannot verify for that.
Okay, so the party is not taking delivery of the 10 million? Is that what you're telling us?
That I am not aware of and cannot authenticate, and that is why.
Okay, Antonio will check that out for us. Okay, yes.
Yes. So a quick one. Yes. What is next is that once we have the various candidates have filed their nominations or filed their documents, the process now is to make sure that vetting is done for them as well, and vetting will be done somewhere next week for the first week of April for the parliamentary candidates, and then for the presidential as well. So what will be done now will be to go through the documents that have been presented and a few things that ought to be done. You in the press will be alerted on every single process, and the public as well will be notified.
I'm interested in, for instance, the process of vetting. Would that apply to the presidential candidates as well, or given the fact given the fact that there are just 4, you would pass all of them because the numbers are not that huge? You agree?
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I cannot tell if all will be passed. I mean, that would be the sole prerogative of the committee that will be vetting them. And so if only you are qualified by all standards, no errors, no everything is okay, why not? You should be. And we are an equal opportunity providing party. And so we believe that you don't need to have a certain name, belong to a certain tribe, be coming from a certain, no. Once you are qualified, and you have seen it's been demonstrated, I'm sure that it is known that
Elikem, it appears we've lost Elikem there, but he was just making this point about the 10. Is it the 10 million? Yeah, not necessarily a response, but you would want to state the fact that you have. Yes,
I agree with Elikem, and I mean, good afternoon to him. The NDC is a social democratic party for everybody. My commentary, and I made reference specifically to the discussion on the Super Morning Show today by the civil society organizations, and I'm telling you that there is a sustainable way for the political parties, irrespective of where you are, because whether you are left or right, you need money for your activities. We need, as a political party, to look for sustainable ways to fund our activities, which was a discussion today on the Super Morning Show. And I stated that my candidate, Dr. Duffour, has already started a micro business at the constituency level, which is the unit. The 10 million mentioned is the total cost of the Hunter project. And Elikem cannot claim not to know about it.
But I'm coming. To say that, are you sure that money has gone to all the branches of the party?
And that's where the problem is. Clearly, I did state the items. Dr. Duffour is not giving money. He's giving items, 4 big canopies, 100 chairs in the sound system. So each, I think 30,000 Ghana cedis each. The total sums to that. So Dr. Duffour is not giving 10 million to the party. So that was not accurate.
But so, everything has gone to,
I mean, you are in this country. When Dr. Duffour started, there were some people who were a bit uneasy with it. As we speak, there are over 70 constituencies that have received it, and we continue to distribute. But the principle is, if we, as a political party, adopt this model, we are able to generate money to fund activities. And the question was, how does an unemployed person contribute to a political activity? So it does not really set up whether you're left or center. My concern was on the principle and the discussion today on Super Morning Show about funding political parties. Because if you succeed at it, it's going to affect, reduce corruption drastically, which, is a good conversation to have. So the parties need to look. Again, I did mention investing. Investing in companies. The NDC as an entity can invest in companies, and that's the most sustainable way of generating money for the party's activities. So it's not an ideological debate at all. It's my contribution to the discussion today on the Super Morning Show.
Okay, then. We need to wrap up, but what message would you like to send across to the grassroots of the party, those who are going to be the ones who would make the choice, the decision, when they're given the opportunity to decide?
Thank you very much. We've heard from the party leadership and all of us know that 2024 is going to be about the economy. It's going to be about creation of jobs. If that is what it is, we need to have a hand that understands what it is. He's done it before, and he will be able to create the needed fiscal space to get us the money we need and the development we need. And like I stated, if there is no water in the pool, you can't swim. So whoever wins, if there's no money, you can't do anything. And this is somebody that is confident. He's giving you a timeline that within 2 years, if voted as leader of the NDC and president eventually, he is going to create the needed fiscal space for us to create the jobs that we need. Again, he's somebody that the people can trust. I mean, in his public and private life, you've never really heard about any corruption. He's such a leader we can trust. Lastly, the NDC needs to go into 2024 election having in mind the floating voter, the middle class. Our base we can energize, but somebody that can attract the floating voters for us to cross the 50+1 in order to get to the Flagstaff House to deliver the needed development that we need. And the only person that can do that is Dr. Duffour. He's the only leader that understands what the economy is, and he's the one that has been able to create jobs, thousands of jobs in this economy. So he knows how to create jobs. Let's give it to the leader who knows how to show work, because he's shown the work and he's willing to do it again.
Okay, and we'll see how that will pan out. But I'm grateful that
you.
you've been able to join us, Adam, as you're speaking for the Duffour campaign. Let's bring in Elikem Kozoko. Sorry, we lost you there on that point.
Yeah, my sincere apologies. I wish to also stress on what Adam said, that Dr. Duffour in his submission did say that we should avoid the name calling and all of that. I agree 100% with that. I hope my brother understands that my only position was that clarity ought to be given to our submissions. So, for instance, as he said in your studio himself, that he should have clarified well that we have done this to 70 constituencies with 205 more left. Then it gives clarity so that somebody in a different constituency doesn't come thinking that something like this is going on when it hasn't reached them. So I wish them well as they do so, and I pray that they all continue. And I want to also state that these elections or the primaries they are going, the campaigns they are doing, should not be on trying to pitch one against the other. We are looking for a candidate, and the NDC is what is the people are going to vote for. The NDC is not going to eventually vote for candidates, where you will say that because someone said is going to serve a 4-year term and continuity and all that. Those are their own campaign messages anyways. But where it seems it will bruise the NDC a bit, we would have to correct that to make sure because it doesn't create any...
Yeah, so that brings me to the question as to what you're doing now to ensure that even after this highly competitive process, you would ensure that the NDC remains united, because that will be the job that will come to your boss and your doorsteps as well. What measures are you taking to consolidate that?
Yeah, I think you would agree with me that with the NDC, when it comes to matters of this internal contest, right after the contest, there's always relative peace, that everybody understands the common goal for which we all were pursuing whatever we started from some time back. And so I believe strongly that when even the campaign is on competence, when the campaign is on what the individuals believe they bring on board without mudslinging the others, then obviously it would be a good grounds for us to step up when these primaries, the preliminaries, I call it, are over.
Adam, how do you respond to the criticism that the reason for which you're not seeing a lot more participation, a lot more people stepping up to say they want to be the presidential candidate for the NDC is because of the amount involved this time round? At least in the last exercise, we had more than 4 names come up. But now it's just 4. And some say, well, it's because you're charging too much.
I don't think so. If you look at the figures and percentage-wise, it's not been any substantial increase from what we charged the last time. It is rather because the NDC believes that even though there are a plethora of people, 4 or 5 is okay. After all, it's only one person who is going to be chosen anyway. So why have 20, 30, and have so many problems eventually? And nobody has actually prevented or is preventing anyone. It's still the same democracy the NDC is known for, and therefore people are very free to come up. I think you interviewed one gentleman also who is a presidential candidate. Is doing the same. You interviewed lawyer Kakra Saman, and he told you 820 people have picked, and we have only 275 constituencies. It tells you on average how many people are contesting in each constituency. So I do not think there's any limitation at all. You would agree with me also that there are people with the gravitas, and this amount being talked about is just chicken change to them.
So 500,000, that's for the presidential level, and still you may disqualify some of them.
If you don't meet the criteria, if you don't meet the standards, I do not think that the money is the basis for which we want to elect a flag bearer. Because you would agree with me that financing even a political party nationwide is not an easy task. And even if we had 50 people contesting, that filing amount will just be a drop in the ocean, considering the task that you would have to do with polling agents, getting them there, getting a van, getting PA systems, campaigning with posters, media engagement, and all of that. So it's still just a drop in the ocean. And therefore, money is never in any way any of the factors to be considered when we have to pass or disqualify somebody. We all wish that at all times everybody is allowed to sail through. Then eventually, or in the end, they detect or they find for themselves their strength by the ballot through the people.
The parliamentary level, it's also another area that we need to pay attention to. I'm sure that process is also winding up at the parliamentary level, but what you also have is a bit of a challenge for the incumbent MPs. You've asked them to suspend their campaigning activities, and yet the processes are still going on. Are you being fair to these people?
Oh, they all know we are very fair to them. They have been very beautifully laced plans outlined for them so that they are not disenfranchised. And as we speak, there's no canvassing ongoing in those constituencies where we have.
Yeah, but you're still allowing them to file. That's the challenge.
Yeah, we are allowing them to file. They are giving special times to even file in order to make sure that they don't get their eyes off the ball, to always keep an eye on the legislature, where we believe that there's a need for us to save our democracy, where a regime has decided to visit very untoward hardships onto us and yet also perpetuate what I call evil on the innocent Ghanaian.
So even as we speak, you mean that directive has not been waived? And that
it's not been waived. It's not been waived. It's up to the 31st until Parliament goes on recess, because we know the very sinister motives of this regime. And as we always say, in security, you will need 24 hours to actually be very alert, because the enemy takes just a second of a loophole, and then that becomes your Waterloo. So they need to be very vigilant, and they have all concurred to that. And I must also commend all our parliamentarians for their vigilance and steadfast so far. It indeed shows their commitment to the party and to seeing Ghana get better compared to where we find it today, where even the referee in our next elections is already compromised before blowing the whistle.
And are you not policing these MPs too much? A couple of hours ago, our parliamentary correspondent dropping images of Johnson Asiedu Nketia, your party chairperson, in Parliament, as the consideration is underway for even the nominees for ministerial positions. You're taking this too far, right? It's like you don't trust your MPs. You're keeping the cane on them all the time.
No, we cannot be policing them at all, and we do not intend to do so. There's rather a very cordial relationship between them and the party leadership, and which is the reason why you see most of us out there with them, and they come here often as well too.
So it's as though you don't trust them at all, like you can't trust them.
No, it has nothing to do with trust at all. We trust them 100%, and which is why none of them has flouted the directive that was given by the party signed by the General Secretary so far.
So fine, yeah. So why not sit in your offices as the national executives of the NDC instead of moving all out, going to Parliament, even as we speak? I'm sure that the chairperson is there. The General Secretary, if I'm not wrong, will also be joining. I'm sure that you would also be passing by in a few minutes from now, just to be sure that you can locate all your MPs. Why are you doing that?
This way I'm speaking to you from my office. And
but it's just a matter of movement. I'm sure once we're done with the interview, you'll be in Parliament.
So you just have a few of our officers also just in Parliament. They also want to watch proceedings.
What are they doing? What are they doing there? That's not their office.
No, they don't. No, there's nothing wrong. They just feel the need to also be there. And honestly, our parliamentarians themselves also feel more inspired when they see national officers also around them. It shows the commitment. It shows the comradeship and the bond that they all have. Like we always say, when you have your head around you, you feel so happy that, the General Secretary is very concerned about our interest in fighting for the democracy of this country. And he has also moved from his office to come and be part of us and watch us, not to police us, but to rather inspire us and encourage us to continue doing the good things we are doing.
Okay, amazing. Your message to the grassroots of the party.
I want to just advise them all to do clean politics, politics that should be minus insults and attacks on personalities. Because in the end, we shall all go to the poll to make sure we go against a regime that has become very sinister and evil, not only to the NDC, but to Ghanaians at large, considering the things that are going on, the quagmire we find ourselves in. And even if you, Bless, you are not NDC, you need to also keep your eyes watching closely, because the ramifications of what they are doing has serious implications on you and I as Ghanaians.
Well, my duty is to watch all of you, NDC and NPP alike, and for those of you in Parliament as well. Thank you, Elikem. We'll see you again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. And